Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. No more Indy 500. No more Sundays with the World Cup. We are here every Sunday, 11 till noon, until next Memorial Day, and the next Indy 500 moves our time slot once again. But we are back from 11 to noon every week. Glad to have you with us. Today we're going to catch up on a lot of UT football, a lot of UT basketball talk, some interesting stuff throughout the show. Let's get right into it. What do you say? First segment of the show brought to you by Nova Copy, located right here in Knoxville. They have all the backing and power of a national company. They have 5 locations in Tennessee, and they're expanding at a rapid pace to meet customer demands. The local shop, Benny Malacote and crew, can be a valuable asset to your business. They can help you get your business started. If you're, for example, wanting to start being the guy who puts wraps on cars or vehicles, there's big money in that now. They sell the equipment that does that. If you have any kind of printing need, they've got the tools. If you have the desire to grow your business, they can work with you on workflow solutions. They do great work. Nova Copy. All right. I want to welcome in our regular panel. Boy, it's been a long time since we've all been together and all here at Sunday at 11. Jimmy Hyams from the Sports Animal. Bob Hodge, freelance contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. Mike Strange, normal contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. Oh, wow. And, somewhat normal. Abnormal contributor to the News Sentinel.
Speaking of abnormal.
There we go. Chuck Cavaleris. With your business has changed. The magazine has changed. The name is now?
Tennessee Golf Central.
Tennessee Golf Central is where you can find Chuck Cavaleris, among many other places. All right, good and bad. We want to take a little time to catch everybody up on UT football. Just 2 weeks from SEC Media Days, which mean that's kind of the unofficial start of football season now. So the summer has already come and gone. Let's start with the recruiting front. Vols are already up to 18 commitments, includes 7 4-star players, according to Rivals. Rivals also has them ranked number 7 in the nation right now. Last year you had the legacy class, so you had some built-in advantages. Anybody surprised that they are doing so well this year without those built-in advantages? Did you expect a little bit more of a dip, or did you see this coming?
I'm not real surprised because I thought that with that year, they had to make up a lot of ground even with those legacy players. They were behind because of the previous coach.
Yeah.
So they had to make up ground there. They had to make up ground with a lot of kids. You hear about it takes a year or two to build up relationships. They didn't have that much time when they got that class together. So I think what happened, they've got a lot of really good recruiters, led by Butch Jones, led by Tommy Thigpen and others. So I'm not surprised they followed up a great class with what looks like it will be another really good class.
I'm a little bit more surprised than Jimmy is, just simply because you don't have the results on the field yet that these coaches can show kids, hey, we're going in the right direction. You had the upset of South Carolina last year. You had that close game with Georgia. But then after that, you went through a period playing really good football teams, but you went through a period where you didn't do well. And so I'm a little bit more surprised just simply because you haven't had the results on the field, and you are getting a lot of interest from guys that before Tennessee, even if they don't get some of these guys, just the fact that they're talking to you seriously is a huge upgrade over where you were.
Well, let's go down that road. There was some thought earlier, I guess end of last week, start of this week, that Torrance Gibson, the 5-star quarterback from Florida, that maybe Tennessee was backing off on interest a little bit because they had signed the kid out of
a commitment.
Texas. They got the commitment out of the kid out of
Dormady.
I can't remember the name, Dormady. But then he comes out this week, Torrance Gibson does, in his blog on USA Today, and says Tennessee is still his leader. Now, he's still looking at Auburn and Oklahoma, LSU, Central Florida, Miami, Ohio State. But Tennessee is his leader at this moment. Surprised at all? I mean, Bob's talking about you're in there with a higher class of athlete. I mean, this guy, everybody wants this quarterback.
I am not surprised Tennessee's recruiting as well as they are, just based on what they did last year, even considering you did have those legacy guys. I'm a little bit surprised they would still be Torrance Gibson's leader just because he seems like, he's pretty mercurial.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like it's pretty much going to be Auburn or Tennessee, and he's going to milk that for all it's worth. I'm not as much surprised because of the momentum Tennessee built with the legacy class. And when you look at this, what you cover recruiting, what do kids want now? Facilities, stadium, the chance to play. That's what Tennessee is selling, and they've just been able to keep the momentum going.
Thoughts on Gibson? You're after such
I think he loves recruiting. He's enjoying the process. A lot of people don't. So I'm surprised that he doesn't have 25 teams still
listed.
You know, when he goes to his press conference, he could likely have 12 hats.
Yeah.
He just likes going through this. He likes the attention. He goes on Twitter and does all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting.
See, and that to me, I don't know if that's really the kid you want to build your program around.
Well, I mean, he may be a better receiver than he is a quarterback. Some of the services still have him ranked at high. I wouldn't make it like this is a make or break recruit that you have to move
I don't
forward.
either.
I'm very good friends with a friend of his coach, and he says his
His high school coach.
his high school coach, said the kid has totally changed in a very short amount of time. That this has a little bit of it has gone to his head, which means I've just now quoted his high school coach as saying that. That'll get out, and I should have probably not said that. But
Well, the good news is it's online. You'll be able to watch it at sportsource.tv.
the kid has changed a whole lot. He is become more focused on himself than he was before this. There wasn't anybody saying anything negative about him. But I think that is also a very common thing among kids when you get to this level of recruitment.
Next big name that happened to roll into Tennessee in the last few weeks, Alvin Kamara, former four-star running back, had been at Alabama, got in a little trouble down there, disciplined, suspended a couple of times, left on his own, wasn't dismissed from the team, to my knowledge, wound up at Tennessee. All of a sudden, what do you need in the SEC? You need a lot of running backs.
Yes.
All right. You're starting to see some good names in there. Jalen Hurd was certainly a top recruit. You got the kid out of Carolina that everybody wanted. You get now Alvin Kamara coming in here. Thoughts on bringing in someone that had been disciplined a couple of times to Alabama? Worth the risk if you're Tennessee at this stage in rebuilding?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Can I yell? Yes.
I thought that'd be a pretty resounding answer. Okay. Let's move on then. I want to ask this. Writers for CBS Sports and the Sporting News in the past 2 weeks have posted their 2014 bowl predictions. They both have the Vols going bowling. Personally, I think that's just setting the table for a big letdown, and a lot of people being mad at Butch Jones. I don't see how a bowl game can be an expectation from this team. I see it would be a goal, a desire. I don't see it as an expectation. Your thoughts on some of these predictions coming out listing Tennessee as a bowl team?
I think it does put more pressure on Tennessee and the coaches, because I think this team could be more fun to watch, could be more exciting, could be a lot of things, and have the exact same results as last year.
I agree.
So it could be a better team to watch, but I don't think that's going to necessarily translate into more wins.
And I think, too, a little bit, John, to me, it's kind of like a preseason all-SEC team or something. We might make a big deal out of that now, but who remembers that kind of later on? I mean, some fans may set it up. But, I mean, I'm like, once the season starts, I mean, that kind of plays out on its own regardless of what was said before the season.
People I talk to who ask me how's this team going to do, I talk to a lot of people who think this team's going bowling. And when I say you've got one really good class and they're all young and they've only been in the weight room for a few months now.
Have not played it down in the SEC.
Haven't played it down in the SEC. It's probably not going to be a much better year record-wise. The response is come on, how's that possible? So I think I agree with Bob. I think those predictions aren't helping Butch Jones and company. That's just me. Your thoughts on the predictions?
I don't think they're hurting Butch Jones. I mean, if they go 3-9 or something, everybody's going to be really disappointed. But basically, by saying you're going to be a bowl team, to me, you're saying 6-6, and a lot of people are putting them at 5-7. So I don't see that really raises the bar that much.
I just see them as a borderline bowl team. Yeah. Last year they came so close to beating Georgia and Vanderbilt. So those are two potential wins they could have had. If you beat Vanderbilt this year, now you've got to upset somebody like you did South Carolina. Are you going to be able to? Are you going to be able to beat Florida at home? Are you going to be able to beat Missouri at home?
You have to avoid an upset from one of those first two.
That's right.
You got
you
9
cannot
bowl
lose.
teams you're playing.
Yeah, you cannot lose to any of the teams that you're, quote, supposed to beat.
That's right.
Like Utah State, Arkansas State. I think they'll beat Kentucky and Vanderbilt and UT Chattanooga. Now you got to figure out one more. But if they lose any of those 5 that I mentioned, I don't think they'll get to a ball game. I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah. I look at 5-7 again. I think that's what you're looking at. So when I see them listed as they'll be in a bowl, I just think that ramps up the expectations a little bit. We'll see. We will talk a little UT basketball with Mark Pankratz when we come back. Plenty more on the Sports Source. We got a lot of football. We're going to compare football to football a little bit later. And I think you'll find some of that amusing. Some of it, probably not all of it, but some of it. Mark Pankratz next as we talk about Tennessee's roster and the Rocky Top League. Come on, back on the Sports Source.